All right, let's jump right into it. If you've been paying attention to the channel, we've been talking about the 49ers salary cap situation over the last couple of weeks. And the things that I've talked about were pretty obvious. The 49ers need to find a way to create money. And the best way to do so is through restructures and extensions. Now, we know that Nick Bosa is going to get extended. When he does get extended, that is going to free up about $13.4 million. Other ways to free up money is through the restructures. Talked about Fred Warner. That seemed like a no-brainer to me. That's $8.9 million. He's still young. He's in his prime. Makes a ton of sense. The other one is CMC at $7.2 million because it doesn't seem like he's going to play at that $12 million rate that is set to be in place for the next few years. Let's take a quick break from the video. I just wanted to extend my thank yous for watching. While you are here, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm, helps get Last Second Sports noticed, and we are chasing 10,000 subs. Thank you. Now back to the content. So if you make those moves on top of the $8 million that the 49ers already have, that puts you at around $38 million to play with going into free agency. However, there was one player that I said is on the bubble as far as a restructure, and that would be Charvarius Ward. Again, a few years until he's even 30 years old. So $9.4 million you can free up there. That gets you closer to that $47 million range to play with. Here's the problem. The San Francisco 49ers traditionally do not extend players until you get closer to training camp. Nick Bosa being the player that they are going to extend this year, $13.4 million is basically sitting there and cannot be spent because the 49ers will wait the way that they always do to make a contract offer to Nick Bosa. So what situation does that put the 49ers in? All of a sudden you remove $13 million to play with. Well, now you're down to $25 million. You add in Charvarius Ward, you're back up to around $34 million, but that's not the money that you wanted to go into free agency with. So now the 49ers are in a situation where they've got to look at guys that I say absolutely you should not, under any circumstance, consider restructuring. George Kittle at $8 million, Trent Williams, $13.7 million you can free up, and Arik Armstead at $11.1 million. Why would I not restructure these guys? It's simple. They're all going to be 30 or older this upcoming season. The reason that's a problem is because as players decline, you want to have wiggle room. You want to be able to trade them. You want to cut them. Maybe they retire, what have you. And if you restructure, you're on the hook for dead cap money when they are no longer on your roster. But rumor came out today, the 49ers are trying to restructure Arik Armstead's contract. The only reason they're doing that is because they wait on their extensions. Get Bosa's contract done now. Free up the $13.4 million. Do not, under any circumstance, kick the can down the road on these guys that are going to be 30 plus years old. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You don't want to pay players more as they age. That is not what you want to do. If you do that with Arik Armstead, his cap number is already astronomical. You're going to push that back multiple years. It just doesn't make sense to do. It doesn't. You don't want a D Ford situation where you're paying him when he's no longer on the team, or an Alex Mack, or any of these things. That's not a way to run a team. The New Orleans Saints are a great example of this. Everybody says the salary cap is a mythical thing. Well, now the New Orleans Saints, for multiple seasons in a row, are in situations where they are either cutting big time players, they're unable to extend big time players, or re sign big time players. And they are basically in a full rebuild mode at this point. That's not something a few years ago, a roster with arguably the most talent was way over the salary cap, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, they were able to free up 90 million. I guess it's mythical." Yeah, you can do that, San Francisco. You can restructure these contracts. They can get up over 70 million in cap space if they want. However, there's always a penalty for that. You always eventually have to pay the piper. San Francisco 49ers should not, under any circumstance, in my opinion, restructure Trent Williams, George Kittle, or Eric Armstead. I think it would be a major mistake. Tell me what you think the 49ers should do. Should they restructure these guys? Should they go all in right now? I think doing the moves that I talked about, getting close to that $50 million is exactly what you need to do to go out into free agency and try to win a Super Bowl this upcoming season.